So Modern Warfare 3 is finally here, and today I wanted to go over all of the settings that you guys should be changing in order to improve your gameplay and essentially just enjoy the game as much as you can. Now, some of these will help with gameplay, some of them are just nice quality of life changes, but either way, it is definitely worth looking at all of these changes and at least considering giving them a change before you guys get too far into playing. If you are interested in Modern Warfare 3, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. There will be plenty more Modern Warfare 3 content on the way. But with that being said, let's get stuck into the settings. Now, firstly, we're going to go into the controller settings over here on the tab on the left. And the first one you guys want to change is this one right here, which is the button layout. Now, it's going to be set by default to the default setting, but you guys want to change this to the tactical setting. What you can see over there on the right is that this will change the melee button and essentially the crouch and slide button. What I will say is that this definitely feels very, very weird if you guys have never done this before. You're going to continue to try and crouch and you're going to end up punching and vice versa, and it will be kind of frustrating. You might even die to it a few times, but trust me, this is something you guys want to stick with. It will be completely fine after around a week or so of playing the game. It'll be second nature at that point and you'll never look back. And trust me, once you've changed this, you will never ever want to change it back. This is by far the best way to play any shooter on a controller. What this will do is just put all of your movement into the right stick and obviously the left stick as well when it comes to actually moving around. It means that if you want to crouch or slide, you no longer have to take your finger off of the right stick, because keep in mind that stick is obviously for aiming. So if you want to be aiming while sliding, for example, you actually can't do that if you have it on the default setting. So definitely change this to tactical. This goes for any shooter that you guys ever play. You want to have your melee button to circle or B on Xbox. And like I said, once you get used to this, you're going to come back and thank me for this, because you'll never ever want to go back. Now, the last one in the controller settings is actually to turn the controller vibration off. I know a lot of people might find this a bit polarizing. A lot of people like controller vibration, and if you do, that's completely fine. But what I will say is it definitely does kind of interrupt when you are in a really intense gunfight. You might not really notice it, but this can sometimes throw you off a little bit. I used to always love having vibration on. It almost felt like it was weird to play without it, and it felt like I was actually losing information when I didn't have this turned on, because in a way it feels like it's helping you when you're getting shot at. For example, your controller vibrates and it feels like it's helping you out. What it's actually doing though is just adding to all of the things that are going on. There's a million things going on in the game at the same time. There's audio going into your ears, and then the controller vibration is just another thing that your brain is trying to process, and essentially removing any of these that are possible is definitely a good thing. And since I've turned this off, I've found that I'm not getting really distracted, I guess, when it comes to gunfights. I've turned this off for probably 3 or so years now. I think I turned it off in Warzone 1, and honestly, I'll never ever play with vibration ever again. So give that a try. If you don't like it, that's completely fine, but I definitely recommend at least giving it a try. Now, moving over to the gameplay tab up the top there, the first one you guys want to change is the tactical sprint behavior. This will obviously be set to double tap, but you want to set this to single tap run. What this will do is mean you don't have to do the double tap to enter the tactical sprint. It might seem like a very minor thing, but this is going to save you a lot of button pressing. It's going to save your carpal tunnel that will no doubt happen if you guys run with the double tap. And also it's probably going to save your controller, because the amount of times you tapped sprint, you're using the stick half as much, and therefore your controller will actually last longer as well. So give this one a try. Once again, you may not like it, but I personally cannot change back to the double tap now. It makes me feel super clunky when I go back to that setting. We then want to go all the way down to the interact and reload behavior. Yours will be set to tap to reload, but this can be a little bit sort of challenging when it comes to having multiple things on your screen, because obviously the reload button is the same as the button to open doors or pick up weapons or stuff like that. So you want to have this set to prioritize reload. This will essentially act the same way as you are used to. You just tap the button and it will start a reload. But if your weapon is full on ammo and you are hovering above a weapon that you want to pick up, for example, then instead of having to hold that button to do any sort of interaction, once the gun is reloaded, all you have to do is then tap it again, and then that will make it so that anything you're picking up from the ground or opening doors or opening chests, for example, in Warzone, you'll only have to tap the button instead of holding it. So definitely change this one. This is probably one of the more important settings, because when I was streaming earlier today, I had it set to tap to reload, and it meant that if I had to pick up a weapon off the ground, I had to hold that, and it made it very frustrating and actually caused me to die a few times. Now, over on the tab on the left again, we want to go down to the graphics, and you want to turn this setting off, the on-demand texture streaming. This is by default set to on, but as you can see over on the right there, it says high quality textures are downloaded from the internet as you play the game, providing more color detail on surfaces. What this is essentially meaning is that as you're playing the game, it's actually essentially streaming a lot of the textures that are in the game, the same way that when you're watching Netflix, you're streaming something from the internet. This is going to cause more lag than you need in the game. It's not too noticeable, to be fair, but in my opinion, anything that you can do to make the game more stable when it comes to the connection is definitely a good thing, and the game looks completely fine how it is anyway. So for me, I've turned this off. It warns you here, doing so will downgrade the visual quality of the game. It really doesn't, and it's definitely going to be worth it anyway, because you're going to have a slightly better ping, which is at the end of the day far more important than the way the game looks. Now, something else you guys need to change if you haven't already, I'm sure most of you have, but if you haven't, you do want to increase your field of view. As you can see over on the picture on the right there, it pretty much shows the difference between what, you know, certain field of views are. Now, 80 is the default. You can obviously go into 60, which makes absolutely no sense to me, but I would recommend changing this as high as you can possibly handle. At the bare minimum, I would set it to 100 if you just don't really like the kind of zoomed out, almost fisheye look that it gives. But as you can see by that image, the higher the field of view, the more you can actually see on your screen, and the more information that you can see on your screen, the better that's going to be for you. For example, if you look in between the 80 marker there and the 100 marker, if you had it set to 80 and there's someone standing outside in that little area, you actually wouldn't be able to see them yet. If you have it turned to 100, then you can obviously see that enemy standing right there. So the higher the field of view, the more stuff you can see on screen. Like I said, I would recommend going as high as you possibly can. I know not everyone likes it, so 120 might be too much for some of you guys, but at the very least, I would go to 100. Now, lastly, in the graphics settings, you want to go and turn the first person camera movement to least, which is 50%. This will essentially reduce the camera shake as much as possible. This not only comes down to, you know, if a grenade goes off in front of you, the camera will shake a lot less, but this also does help when it comes to your own weapon recoil. This was something that was very big in Modern Warfare 2. The actual weapon recoil, or the visual recoil, was way too much for most people, and so setting it to the least, which is 50% instead of 100%, will just help your screen stay a little bit more stable, and it means you're going to have less like camera shake when you're in gunfights or when explosions are going off and stuff like that. Next up, we want to go into the audio tab. The first thing is the audio mix, and you want to change that to the headphone bass boost. Even if you're playing on the TV, it does not matter. You want to change it to the bass boost. As you can see there, it says tighter dynamic range with EQ and enhanced low end frequencies. What that is going to help with a lot is sort of bassy sounds, for example, footsteps, and this is going to pretty much enhance the footstep audio in the game, meaning that if you're trying to sound whore, as they call it, and pretty much listen for footsteps, this is going to help you the most. So definitely change this if you are interested in listening for those footsteps, especially when it comes to Warzone, for example. This is very, very important. Now, lastly, we want to head to the interface tab, and you want to go down to the minimap shape. This will be automatically set to round, but you want to set it to square. The simple reason for that is, as you can see from that image there, you can simply see more on your minimap. So there is literally no reason to have it round. Maybe it looks a bit nicer, maybe it takes a little bit of extra room off your screen, but it is definitely worth having a little bit of extra range when it comes to the minimap. And then lastly, this is more personal preference, but under the telemetry settings here, I've got the server latency, the packet loss, and the connection meter all turned on. This will pretty much put it up in the top left of your screen, saying your ping and all that kind of thing. This is just helpful information. It's not going to take up too much of your screen. And yet, if you feel like you're really lagging or something like that, it's good to be able to just simply check the top of the screen, and you can see, oh yeah, I'm on 100 ping. Maybe I'll just quit this lobby and find a new one. So that one's more personal preference. You can just check that in the menus anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But for me, I do enjoy having that stuff up in the top left. Now, the last tip I've got for the settings is to essentially go to any of the settings that you think you're going to be changing frequently, and you can actually press triangle or Y if you're on Xbox to put a star on it, like you can see here, and this will actually put it into the quick settings. So as you can see here, I've got all of the settings that I think I'm going to be changing the most frequently, and then when I go into my settings, all I need to do is go into the quick settings, and all of the more important ones are set here. We'll have a few that are automatically put in there, but it's definitely worth filling that with 15 of the most important settings that you guys think you're going to change more often than not. But anyway, that is it for some of the settings that you guys should be changing in Modern Warfare 3. Be sure to let me know some of your own settings if you think I missed any as well. And like I said, if you are interested in Modern Warfare 3 content, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because there is plenty more stuff on the way. Lots of loadout tips, the best ways to level up and all that kind of thing. So keep your eyes peeled right here on the channel. With that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.